When I'm online, I log onto Tomorrowpictures.TV.
Now, the three of you left Memphis, but you all moved to different places.
Yes, we did. Vashti left Memphis first, and she moved to Detroit, Michigan. I left Memphis 3 years later, and I moved to Chicago, Illinois. And when Vernice left Memphis, her husband wanted to take her to California, but my father told him not to take her so far away from him. So they settled in New York City.
Interesting. What type of communication did you have with your sisters once you had all moved to these other cities?
We kept in touch with each other because we grew up in a family where we were very close. We were together every day, and we were sort of a part of each other. So we managed to visit one another through the years, and Vashti eventually moved to Chicago, and Niecy stayed in New York until she expired. But we kept in touch. We wrote letters, we visited, and we made telephone calls to one another on a regular basis.
Do you think it's important for people and families to maintain that level of communication with one another?
I think it's the best thing an individual can do. We should be very close to our loved ones, and we should manage to come together as a family as often as we can.
Why did you choose Chicago?
I chose Chicago because my favorite aunt was here. I idolized her. She was a very caring woman, very experienced woman. She knew life, and she knew all the right moves. I admired her, and I wanted to be like her. And so I came to Chicago because there was no other place that I could have gone to, because I didn't have any very close relatives anywhere else. So that's why I chose Chicago.
Mm-hmm. And your favorite aunt, that was T, correct?
T.
Yes.
We called her T, but her name was Ludi.
Ludi Newsom.
Ludi Crothers.
Crothers.
Yeah.
Didn't she married someone?
And she married, and she married 3 times. And the first husband was Nathaniel Davis. The second husband was Henry Dixon. And the third husband was Clyde Newsom. And out of the 3 men, Henry Dixon was her love.
That's interesting. So I only knew her as a small kid, and I always knew her as Ludi Newsom. Mm-hmm. That was the only name that I ever knew her as. I had no idea that she had been married twice previously. What has it been like for you to live in Chicago? You've lived in Chicago during a very interesting time in the history of Chicago as well.
Chicago, to me, is a place where I would consider next to heaven. I liked Chicago because it is a big city. There's something here for everybody. There are many places to go. They have nice restaurants here. Anything you're looking for, you can find it in Chicago. And if I had to make that choice again, it would be Chicago.
How are you able to manage the weather in Chicago?
Well, I wear heavy clothing and layers and layers of clothing. And that keeps me warm. The weather has never been a problem to me.
What are some of the things about Chicago that you don't like? Or that you wish would change?
The main thing that I'd like to see change in Chicago is the violence in the streets. Because when I first came to Chicago to live, you could go anywhere you wanted to go, any time of day or night, alone. Nobody would bother you. Nobody would snatch your purse or do anything to you at all. I would like to see that change back to the way it was.
Why do you think there is such a problem with violence in Chicago?
I think that we don't teach our young people that they shouldn't have families so early. If a young man doesn't have anything, a young woman doesn't have anything, and they have a child, then the child doesn't have anything. They have nothing to offer the children. And if we could instill in them the fact that it's all right to have a family, but wait until you are able to have something to offer the child. Because when children grow up and they don't have the things that they should have, it makes some children very bitter, and it causes lots of crime. So if we could cut down on the unwed mothers and do like they do in China, make it a law where the girls cannot bring these children into the world and not have anything to offer them, I think that it would make Chicago a better place to live.
Exclusively on Tomorrowpictures.TV.
Tomorrow Pictures.
The story is in the telling.